Welcome to the UK Medical Freedom Alliance. We are the most recognised and respected organisation campaigning for your right to informed consent, bodily autonomy and medical choice. We are the voice of ethical medicine.
Well, hello everybody. Welcome along to another medical ethics report from us here at the UK Medical Freedom Alliance. I'm very, very pleased to be joined yet again by Liz, our CEO, Dr. Liz Evans. And we're just going to chat about all the things that are just going on right now. And we thought things were going to calm down maybe this year, but it's just all escalating again. So much for us to talk about, so many ethics being breached and broken. Yeah, Liz, I'll throw it open to you. And obviously, I've got some things that I want to throw in as well. But yeah, what's been on your mind at the forefront?
Gosh, where to start? Thanks for making the time, because it's always fun having these conversations. I actually voted in the local election this morning. I don't know, have you got local elections where you are?
Yes, I was there doing mine. Yes, yeah.
Yeah, for what it's
and I made sure, just in case anyone's wondering, I actually did my X in pen.
In pen? Oh, I
in pen.
pencil.
Because apparently there's a whistleblower who's come out and said they've been rubbing out the X's.
Oh.
And putting them somewhere else because it's in pencil.
Oh my.
Makes you wonder, why do they always provide you with a pencil, not a pen? Anyway, that's completely not relevant to medical ethics, but it's certainly relevant to ethics.
Yeah, well, actually, can I just, like, a slight aside? What slightly disturbed me as I walked in was one of those people standing outside the tellers who are trying to grab your cards and get your number. And I usually refuse it, but I knew the guy, so I kind of felt like I didn't have a choice. But he leapt on me and went, "Oh, can I just have your polling card to have your number?" What is all that about? Because that again feels like, I thought the ballot and a vote was meant to be entirely confidential, like even whether you voted or not.
Yeah.
Who are these, why are these people, this chap was a candidate, but he was with two people from other parties, so they were standing there sharing the numbers. What do they do with your number, and how do they manage to link that? How did they have information as to who that number is?
I don't know, but I'd imagine they've got access to the electoral roll. So therefore, if they can see someone hasn't voted, they can send people round and beg you to come out. It might be that. I know they've picked up disabled people before now and infirm and driven them to local polling booths. So it could be something like that. And certainly it gives them an indication of the numbers of the turnout. And I have to say, I went fairly early. It wasn't mega early. It was about 9:30 this morning, and the box sounded very empty. So unless they'd already had a full one and taken it away, which I really doubt, I don't think the turnout's going to be that big.
Yeah, as was quiet. But yeah, no, because I was just thinking of GDPR, all the things we have to do as a corporation to protect GDPR, and someone can, these people who are just able to have a full electoral roll with your number identification. It's crazy.
Yeah. And the candidates were outside and they were all very happy, chatting away, yeah. And, enjoying the weather and and just the conviviality of the chat, So, yeah, they're obviously not at each other's throats all the time.
No, and obviously we don't get to talk to them about ethics, do we? Although I did actually write to my MP today, so I thought maybe I'll start with that because that's what I've been doing just before lunch. I wrote a letter to my Liberal Democrat MP, who is very in favour of assisted dying, and she actually, bless her, did give me an interview or some time last summer. We had a long chat about it, so that was good. Obviously, she disagrees with me. I disagree with her, but I respect the fact that she is meeting people. She's constantly updating us on what's happened, what she's voted for. So, that's a good MP as far as I'm concerned. But what we're being encouraged to do now by Right to Life is to write to our MPs to ask them not to get involved in this private members ballot gaming the system, which is being proposed by Leadbeater and co. Basically, the Leadbeater Bill fell because it ran out of parliamentary time, because they couldn't debate all the amendments put forward by the House of Lords. And they are so furious that they are saying, right, we're going to get it through by hook or by crook. And so the next week, when the new parliamentary session starts, there's a private members bill ballot takes place where members of parliament who want to put in a private members bill put their names in a hat. and 20 names are drawn out. And then those, I think, as far as I can work out, those MPs then get to put forward the bill that they want. But what Leadbeater and Lord Faulkner have done is commandeered an army of MPs who are prepared to put in exactly the same private members bill as she did. So the Leadbeater Bill Mark II, but no changes. And there's rumours that there could be up to 100 MPs who are going to put their names into this ballot. And then if their name's picked, they will put forward as their guaranteed private members bill to be considered the Leadbeater Bill Mark II. And what this would allow them to do is to then bypass the House of Lords if they can evoke the Parliament Acts, which are designed if the Lords is blocking a government bill. So it's never been used for a private member's bill. And that would mean that this bill, this flawed bill, whichever side you're on, I think there's plenty of people who are neutral bodies who've said, if you're going to bring it in, this is not the bill to bring it in with, because it is so lacking in safeguarding. It is so full of holes. There's so little detail as to the, what the process, the drugs, how the whole thing will work, that actually you need to go back to the drawing board. So anyway, I wrote to my MP just to say, look, I know you want assisted dying, but the message is not now, not this bill, not this way. So basically the bill is too flawed. So not with this bill, not this way, abusing this Parliament Act and using it in an unprecedented way just to force their way. And also not now, because actually what the majority of the public in a recent poll have said is we've got to sort out palliative care first, so that everybody has access to high quality palliative care. Then they actually have a genuine choice as to whether to choose assisted dying or whether to have their high quality palliative care, which the palliative care experts say that nobody should die an undignified, painful death if they get decent palliative care. So then it is a genuine choice, which maybe would only be chosen by a tiny number of people, and people wouldn't be forced into, or, as they're, asked to sign a DNAR, which increasingly we see, be put on end of life or whatever. Then they might be told, well, do you want to just sign, this form, and we'll just give you some drugs and you can kill yourself.
Right. And that's what I've been at pains to try and explain to people when they said, hang on, you're UKMFA and you're all about medical choice and you're opposing this bill. And I said, yes, but it's about choice. Mm-hmm. And they haven't got the choice right now because there isn't the alternative. Mm-hmm. So they would naturally adopt for an early death because they don't have a really good choice. Alternatively, a pain-free, well-managed ending to their lives, and as you say, a dignified end. Mm-hmm. And this is why I'm still so keen that we succeed with this, because it's very important, and that's why we've started a series of podcasts now with the great Amanda Hunter. And some guests who will be joining us as well to talk about this in more detail and keep the momentum going, because it is so important. And also this idea that Leadbeater's come up with in order to try and get this bill through. It's a little bit like being in a football match, and when you call your sub on, instead of one coming on, 20 come on. Yeah. It's like, hang on a minute, where did all these come from? It's like, and then only one scores. Oh yeah, great, okay, yes, but there's 20 there, and any one of them can score. It is a very, very unfair approach, I think.
Yeah, I think it's an abuse of the system, and it's sort of treating the public with contempt. And actually, this isn't a big issue for the public. If you look at, repeated polls have shown this is not their priority. We have got so many other issues that we're dealing with that they want governments and public money to be spent on. So this is like right down the list of priorities. And now people are starting, the more it's been debated and scrutinized, this bill, the more people are realizing what a can of worms you open with this, and how hard, I would argue impossible, it is to actually create a bill that only kills that tiny number of people who cannot be helped, who are in absolute agony, and who are not in any way under coercion. It just, that may be the intention, but I don't think it's possible to write that bill.
And also a bill that, if it does succeed, might be very tight in the first instance, but as we've seen with other countries, gradually the terms just start to expand, and you can, if you're mentally ill or if you're down and out or whatever it might be, you can end your life. So it's but if it did come in, we would have to campaign really, really strongly to keep it as tight as it is.
Definitely.
Yeah.
And, and I think I would really encourage people to keep a dialogue going with their MPs because, obviously I'm pretty sure I'm not going to change my MP's mind on the principle of assisted dying, but it's important that they hear the other side and you can have a respectful conversation. I'm just going to read my last paragraph to sort of show how, I've given her the arguments, but I said, I respect that you agree with assisted dying in principle, but it is clear that the Leadbeater Bill or any identical bills put forward in the PMB ballot are not fit for purpose. The Leadbeater Bill, as it fell, was held to be seriously deficient, even by groups and experts who are neutral on the principle. Yet advocates would need it to remain as is in order to use the Parliaments Acts. So I've said supporters of assisted dying need to be brave and tear up this deeply flawed bill and return to the drawing board and have the humility to engage with all the criticisms of the Leadbeater Bill to write a new, more limited bill which addresses the many holes and safeguarding concerns raised.
Right.
Because if I was for assisted dying, that would be the honourable and humble route to say, okay, fine, they don't want this one, let's write a better one. Not just like let's force our will because we are just so angry and we want to get this through no matter what. Because that's not acting with integrity or respect.
No, it's not detailed enough. It doesn't explain the whole process, and there are so many holes in it that it's just not right, as you say. That's why I say if it got through, we need to make sure it was really, really tight. And a lot of these things were explained and actually put into the bill, maybe subsequently, to type right down.
Please consider donating to the UKMFA. We're really grateful for all donations, no matter how small. Your donations enable us to continue to lobby for your right to informed consent and medical freedom to be upheld, and to provide resources to educate and empower the public. We're the only organisation solely focusing on medical freedom in the UK. So scan the QR code right now that's present on your screen, or go to our website at ukmedfreedom.org, that's ukmedfreedom.org, where you could donate via our donor box system or simply buy us a coffee.
There's a cruise ship floating around the ocean right now where people are getting infected with this Andes version of the hantavirus.
Allegedly.
And well, exactly. It's an interesting thing, and they're piling on the scenarios at the moment to make this look like something we really, really need to be concerned about. But interestingly, back in 2021, I don't know if you're aware of this, but there was a Gavi article, and that article was all about rodent transmission of a disease.
Oh.
A rare human spread, high fatality rates. And they were going to look at early stage vaccine candidates. Although it would be a low probability, it was a possible future threat. And now here we are, 5 years later, and it's clear at present. Now, Debbie Evans, who I know you know a bit, she's been highlighting the fact that Moderna have been working with the Korean university in a collaboration to develop, guess what?
Oh, not a hantavirus vaccine?
Guess on what it's based on?
Based on mRNA?
There you go.
Oh,
There you see.
Gosh, do I get a prize?
I think so. You should do. Because, you just got the gold there. And obviously, she's claiming that this scenario is far worse than than we can see, because what's going on in the background obviously is horrendous. But the WHO are referring to it as a disease X priority, another one of these disease X's that we don't know what it really means, and that the reason the Koreans are looking at it is because their existing vaccines are just not good enough. So they really do need to go into a lot of detail now with the mRNA and get to the bottom of it, and so they can really produce one as quickly as possible and get it ready and get it out there to people who are going to need it.
Wow.
Now, James Delingpole, of all people, of course he would say this. I mean, he used a rude word. I won't use the word he said, but he said it was a rubbish. And it's a staged psyop. And it's interesting, actually, if you see some of the videos of the so-called people that are suffering on this ship, it doesn't quite feel genuine. And if it is genuine, it's a shame, because then they're putting something on that just doesn't ring true. If they're really suffering and they're really ill, I feel very, very sorry for them, because this can be a nasty disease. It is a real thing.
Yeah.
But the thing is, it's that sort of environment where it's probably more likely to be created than anywhere else, because it comes from rats, and rats are on ships, and as we know, the rats are the first to desert the sinking ship. So yeah, if it is real, it's a shame, but it all just seems a bit odd right now, and it all seems a little bit psyopy again. A KLM flight attendant in the Netherlands has been hospitalized for possible hantavirus after a brief contact with a 69-year-old Dutch woman, who was actually on the ship, and apparently caught it in Johannesburg. She briefly boarded the plane, very briefly, and somehow she's transmitted this illness.
I mean, the whole story doesn't add up. And what's really interesting is, because I have been reading the reports daily in the newspaper. That's the only thing I sort of read mainstream. I kind of skim the newspaper while I'm eating my breakfast every day, so I can see what they're churning out. And I agree with you. There's something really off about the whole way. None of this story makes sense. You've got, experts, virologists coming out and going, well, we don't get human to human transmission. So it feels like there's holes in it already. And then now today they're trying to claim that, but this is a particularly rare version that you only get in Peru, which is the one that can have human transmission. But you've got all these other virologists going, no, that just doesn't happen. So even in the mainstream, they're struggling to keep this narrative together. The guy on the ship who's like blogging every day, and there's a picture of him saying, oh my goodness, get me off this ship. But he looks fine. And it just feels a little bit, it's a bit sort of Artemis, isn't it? Let's face it.
It is, yeah. And it's
a cruise ship. And have they even been to Johannesburg? Because the route I saw doesn't go to Johannesburg. So again, I'm saying, well, according to my newspaper, and I saw the route, they didn't go to Johannesburg. So
no, apparently they were being told to go there, I think, but I don't know. It doesn't make a lot of sense, and also the fact that as you say, the transmission. There's only been very, very few cases of human transmission. It's only between people that are intimate, really, that spend hours and hours and hours with each other, touching each other frequently, sharing fluids, dare I say. On my pet rat. I think it might have been my pet rat, Roland, that did this. I don't know. It's really odd, and the fact that so many apparently have caught it doesn't make a lot of sense. Not when you look at the science behind it. So
I feel like it's a bit of a nothing burger, because it doesn't seem to be landing. Like, I don't feel the public. It's a bit like the monkeypox thing. Do you remember they tried it on? And then there were all the memes about the bananas being the vaccine and, all of that. Right. And it didn't work. And then by the time they realised it wasn't working, they changed it to mpox, and it was too late. So that's cool. Now it feels like this is, it's so implausible. And so if it is an issue, because obviously there are hemorrhagic fevers, it's just going to be such a tiny number of people affected, and then it will just disappear. So we don't need to worry about it.
Yeah. And also, generally, you just get a few flu symptoms and it goes away, apparently. It's only something like 30% or something that get it very, very seriously, then go on to suffer and maybe die. But it's really strange. It's one specific strain of one particular virus, which has been identified, who knows how. And, it's all very murky.
But of course, COVID started with a cruise ship story, didn't it? They love this cruise ship thing.
The Diamond Princess, wasn't it?
Yeah. And so
Yeah.
it feels like, are they trying the same playbook again to see like where people are at? But I don't
Yeah.
think this one, no, people aren't biting this one. It's not even really making it to the front page anymore. It's obviously not getting any traction.
No, the fact they're trying the same story again means they couldn't even be bothered to write a new scenario.
Yeah.
It's just only the names have been changed. Yeah.
I mean, I wouldn't put it past them to poison people on a ship because they're captive.
Well, it could happen, or I mean, they could genuinely be ill, but with something else.
Yeah.
So they've just put it down to this.
Yeah.
You know, it's just I mean, people do get sick, but yeah, it's just yeah. Well, we'll sit back and wait and see.
Yeah.
But I
Well,
just
I'm not
hope we
gonna go
haven't
buy
got
my
yet
face
another
mask.
another mRNA to start complaining about.
I
pushing
did feel
back.
sorry for them though, because apparently it said in the paper yesterday they'd all been told to wear face masks on the ship. I'm like, oh my goodness. Like, if this is not a stage set, then that, poor them.
Yeah. Well, I think apparently an N95 mask is sensible to wear if you're cleaning your garage out and it's full of mice, and there's loads of infection. Yeah, possibly. I don't know. I still think the holes are too big to stop a viral particle, but there you go. Yeah.
It's becoming so that the best way to stay in touch with the UK Medical Freedom Alliance is via our Substack, which you will find at substack.com/@UKMFA1. That's substack.com/@UKMFA1, where you'll find our articles and videos published. You could subscribe and be one of the first to get our very important content.
Okay. You've got the next one? Or
Oh yeah, well I was just, these wretched medical regulators going after the COVID dissident doctors still. So we are in 2026 now.
Yeah.
And COVID is a thing of distant memory, even in the mainstream world. Everyone's trying to forget it, but not the GMC and other medical boards. So we've got really sad news about Dr. Dean Patterson. So I don't know if any people will remember, we worked with him in the People's Vaccine Inquiry. He was one of the witnesses. Such a wonderful, wonderful senior cardiologist consultant from Guernsey who ran his own or was running a big cardiac centre out there. And he noticed increased incidence in this tiny population of myocarditis and other heart-related issues in 2021, so not in 2020, and continuing into 2022. Initially, he just went to his colleagues and said, I'm really worried. Like, this is, there's this massive uptick in myocarditis, and these seem to be in jab people. And nobody was kind of like doing anything about it. So he then started making yellow card reports. And then he spoke when nothing was happening, because nobody was contacting him, I think, about the yellow card reports. He was getting more and more concerned about patient safety. So he then went to social media and to the media. And he then went, became part of People's Vaccine Inquiry. He put out a big statement, sort of evidenced, and was very public for a while. And then he has been massively persecuted for this. So from what I can gather, he was let go by the board of his hospital where he was working, and then the GMC have gone for him and they've temporarily suspended his license. Really, from what I can gather, for speaking out about COVID jabs and risky public safety. So he is now left. So it's the process is the punishment situation. So he's now 18 months without a license, 12 to 18 months, and he's got to appeal. So he's got no money. He's got a young family, as far as I know. He's in a small community. Can you imagine, like big somewhere like Guernsey, and having this hanging over you? You can't support your family. How are you going to fund your legal case? All you've done has been, measured and very, he never was, hyperbolic. He just spoke about what he saw and he put together his data. I mean, that's...
Yeah, and the fact it is a small community, it makes me wonder as well how the community are treating him, actually, how they're dealing with him, you would hope that they know him well and they support him. But you know what some people do when they hear these stories that someone's been struck off or something, they turn on them, don't they?
Absolutely. So yeah, and if you've got kids, then obviously they're in the local community and they're at school. You can't just up sticks.
No.
So there is a Give Send Go fundraiser, which I would really encourage people to support him, because the thing is, there were so few COVID distant doctors, and they're all being picked off. Like, next time there will be none, because if they don't get supported by the people they're trying to help, they're just going to, the next time there's a lesson learned, you just don't go there.
Yeah.
I restacked a Doc Malik article. Doc Malik did a really good sort of article explaining the whole case last week, I think, and I've restacked it. And there's details of the Give Send Go. But if you just go to Give Send Go and type in Dr. Dean Patterson, you should be able to find it.
That should be good.
Yeah, I just think he needs our support. He needs our prayers. He needs our best wishes. And yeah, because this is a really horrific position for a lovely, high achieving, ethical doctor who was at the peak of his career.
Yeah. And there's so many. I mean, Sarah's had this is Dr. Sarah Myhill. She has finally had a bit of a win recently, which is amazing. They basically pulled out of one of the cases against her, which had been hanging around for years, and they were going to try and resurrect, but then they backed off. She's just about won everything against the GMC, but she's still having to go to higher courts and to take on some of the allegations that have been made. It's just crazy. And of course, Dr. Dave Cartland, who's we've interviewed on this channel and he's been on many other channels, and what he's going through is absolutely awful. And I found out today that there's a podcast which is called The Downfall of Dr. David Cartland. And it's run by it's a podcast series by something called Some Dare Call It Conspiracy. And again, they've selected bits of text and edited it to make it look like he's said a certain thing. They've taken bits of audio and done the same, bits of video and done the same. They've literally chopped it around to really make it look like he's a complete and utter conspiracy theorist. And so he's now trying to defend that as well, on top of defending the fact that he can't referee anymore and he can't do stuff with his kids anymore. He's on the various registers and things. I mean, it's just it's crazy. I just won't leave him alone.
It's incredibly sinister that they can be allowed to harass somebody to this level for so long, and it's all in public. It's being done, and the powers that be so far have done nothing about it. And yet what he's been accused of and lost his license for is online bullying. I mean, the irony, when he is the one who is being so publicly bullied. It's like a witch hunt from back in the the Salem witch trials. It's and I feel like they want blood. They are nothing is satisfying them. They want him dead. That's the impression I get. And we need somebody to step in and stop this. And this is criminal behavior, I think, the way that he is being harassed. I mean, you're an ex-policeman, you know better than me.
Well, I mean, just this, some time ago that I did this, and I know some of the laws have changed, but I mean, if you pursue someone like that, especially when it's incorrect, it's bad enough if it's correct and you're harassing someone, but none of this information is true. But they're allowed to still continue and to push, and I don't understand it, and no one seems to want to step in and rescue the likes of Dave Cartland. But they soon jump on people for making a so-called bad tweet, or and put them in prison for saying something in the heat of the moment. And they've only said it once. This is crazy. These people are going after him constantly. They just don't stop.
Because how can one person bully a group of people? The dynamics doesn't work. That's what he's accused of. But he's always been on his own. So it's very hard to bully masses of people, but yet they are piling on him all the time. I mean, that is
Yeah.
the definition. But
I mean, outside the medical field, they did the same to Alex Belfield. I mean, whether you like Alex Belfield or not, as an entertainer and a journalist or whatever, you know, he's now still in prison. He's going to have to go back to prison because he's breached his terms and conditions of his parole because he said stuff, that he wasn't supposed to say. But he said, I can only speak honestly. I speak honestly, and I'm back in prison again. Dave's in the same situation, it seems. And it's very, very sad. It's unbelievable.
And even, I mean, and then across the water, I don't know, people have probably seen on Twitter, doctor called Billy Ralph has been, I think he's been struck off, or he's in a hearing, fitness to practice hearing from the Irish Medical Board for questioning the COVID jabs back in the day. Now, interestingly, so there's been a lot of media, really good Irish independent media looking at this. There's how do you say it? Eiling.
Yeah, I don't know.
Lig McLaughlin or something. She's a really good independent journalist. And Aisling, that's it. I knew it had a...
Aisling, yes, yeah. Okay, yeah.
And she's been reporting on it. And another lady I know has been doing some really good tweets on it. And basically, Angus Dalgleish, our lovely Professor Angus Dalgleish, who has been so outspoken, the Professor of Oncology, amazing guy, he gave evidence to this hearing, which apparently was absolutely devastating to the COVID vaccine safe and effective narrative. And interestingly, a couple of days later, the hearing's been adjourned and nobody knows why. Or at least they didn't. I saw that on Twitter a couple of days ago. So, maybe the truth is coming out.
Yeah, I know he spoke to Eddie Hobbs, who I know you've met Eddie when you were in Ireland.
Yeah.
On his Counterpoint program. And also Dr. Marcus de Bruin. I don't know if you know him, a GP, but he's also come out in support of Angus's information and assertion that, these COVID jabs have caused cancer and are driving excess deaths. That's what they're saying. That's going to get us knocked off of YouTube again, I guess, but never mind. But there's so much going on. There's a former pilot, a guy called Tim McAdams. He's been demonstrating his journey after the jab. He was hospitalised, tubes and medical equipment all over him, and he had a near-death neurological decline. Essentially, he finally recovered, thank the Lord, but. He had two huge strokes, which the doctors put down to the injections. Suffered brain surgery. He couldn't walk. He couldn't talk. And his job was under threat. And that's why he took the jabs, because they said you can't fly unless you take it. So again, coercion. And then look at the state of him. It's just yet another, just one story out of thousands.
Yeah.
And that's why this push is really good at the moment. And the fact the stories are still being told, and so, we've interviewed people on here and other places. We've seen them interviewed, and it's all tended to be the same people over again. You can think, well, perhaps it wasn't that widespread, but no, it was, because now we're seeing more and more come out, and we're years later.
Visit our website to get immediate access to our media and presentations, our campaigns, our podcast, our Substack, legal help with support, and our open letters. The address is ukmedfreedom.org. That's ukmedfreedom.org. You can sign up there to receive our newsletter, so you're notified then of our new campaigns, our open letters and calls to action, and any other important updates. Oh, by the way, you can donate there too.
That sort of brings me on to the Module 4 report. So the Public and COVID Inquiry, Module 4, Vaccines and Therapeutics. Baroness Hallett finally released her report and video statement. And I mean, I've only so far watched the video statement, which we responded to on the same day. It was so outrageous. She claimed that the vaccine rollout was one of the few success stories of the pandemic, and then went on to claim that, get this, 450,000 lives were saved in England alone. I mean, like, seriously, how many people live in England? I need to do the stats on this, but it must be, what, 40 million in England, 40, 50 million. So
Yeah.
that would say that they were expecting over a 1% death rate for the whole population,
That's right.
and that nobody had caught it and recovered by the time the jabs went out. And then it saved. I mean, it's so preposterous
It's
that
bonkers.
it even be true that
Yeah.
even if there was a vaccine, and even if there was COVID, 450,000 is just so off the scale.
Yeah.
I mean, but she said this with a straight face in her video statement, which was just totally outrageous. But anyway, so we've put out a video statement calling her out, but also the vaccine injury groups have been devastated by the report. Yes, there was a recommendation in the report to start to consider reforming the vaccine damage payment system, which has been criticised for years. Even before COVID, it was always awful. It's 60% disabled to get a one-off, 120,000, whatever it was. So I think VIB UK, Vaccine Injured and Bereaved UK, said on X, for decades, governments of every colour have heard the same criticisms. The payout is inadequate, the process is slow, unacceptable disability threshold to pass. And then they said, but don't worry, they're now considering reform. I mean, and then to add insult to injury, the vaccine injury groups put, weeks and months of work into gathering case studies, which, imagine, these people are seriously injured and very, very sick. They have hardly enough energy to get through the day. But they put together their reports because they were core participants in the COVID inquiry. And this was their evidence bundle, which they understood was going to be published on the COVID inquiry website, because you would think that, wouldn't you, if you've been required to submit evidence, because we were required under Rule 9 to submit evidence as a witness statement. And our witness statement has never seen the light of day, but we weren't core participants. So you would have thought, well, at least the vaccine injured get their evidence published. But no, the COVID inquiry did not publish their hard fought for, worked on case studies that were put together with, so much blood, sweat and tears. But praise God for Caroline Pover and Charlotte Crichton. They are such amazing women, and they have managed to get a book published within a very short space of time, about a week, which has all of these case studies in, because they're like, this has to be in the public domain. And it's called Fallout from the Rollout. And you can get it on Amazon. And I've ordered my copy today, because, this is just so unacceptable that this inquiry has been the biggest whitewash, the biggest waste of public money, and it's treated us with contempt, and it's treated the vaccine injured with contempt. It let them have a little voice, but then it's done nothing meaningful.
And I don't think they paid much attention to alternatives, did they? Things like ivermectin and mebendazole and other things, and what was it, hydroxychloroquine. They never mentioned any of that, as far as I know, not in great detail. It's interesting. American news people, Newsmax, just did a report on a study of 197 cancer patients who've been using ivermectin.
Oh, right.
And as well as mebendazole, I can never say this one, mebendazole.
Oh, yeah.
That's the one. Yes, apparently 48.4% tumour regression.
Wow.
Or no evidence of disease after 6 months. And 84.4% overall clinical benefit at 6 months.
Wow.
Which is quite amazing. Now, to be fair, it's true. They said apparently there was some concurrent chemotherapy in 28% of them. So radiation therapy for 21%, and 20% had surgery as well. But that's still a significant amount of people that have had a positive outcome from something that they kept claiming was just horse paste.
But then
You know,
isn't it ironic that the Cancer Act of what is that 50, 60 years old would prevent you from claiming that anything apart from chemo, radio or surgery could treat or cure cancer.
yeah,
So actually it's illegal
yeah.
to say that this might help cancer, even if it does. I mean, it's
So I suppose that would tie up the inquiry as well, then, would it? Because they'd be breaching the law if they'd have even mentioned it.
it's the farmers got it all stitched up, haven't they?
Yeah, that was just dreadful.
Yeah.
I know as I mentioned before we came on air, as it were, James O'Keefe, who was doing a lot of work with the undercover work that he was doing in these sort of clandestine chats with people that worked with Big Pharma. Just recently did an undercover video with a guy called Joshua Reese, who identified himself as a lead scientist with regulation around the COVID-19 vaccination for Johnson & Johnson. And he said during that interview, he said, none of the stuff that we produced was safe, nor was it effective. We had no idea whether it was safe or effective. When they followed up the interview, tried to interview him again, he denied who he was, stated he never worked for Johnson & Johnson, and Johnson & Johnson had removed his details from their website, even though he was there originally.
Wow.
So it just goes to show that people like James O'Keefe and others are getting very, very close and touching nerves.
Yeah.
And people are running for the hills. Anthony Fauci himself in America, he's under a lot of pressure at the moment because Rand Paul is trying to get him prosecuted in front of the Department of Justice in America.
Mm-hmm.
And they're running out of time because there is a statute of limitations on it, which expires, I think, in about 10 days.
My goodness.
So they need to move fast, but they're really keen to get him prosecuted. And they're also trying to reintroduce the allegation about auto pens, because apparently there was something around the use of an auto pen with him, and it was kiboshed the same as Joe Biden's one was. So they didn't pursue it, but they know that these people, when they were writing things, that someone else was controlling the pen. I mean, it's just incredible, isn't it?
This whole Epstein class that's running the world, they're so slippery, aren't they? It's very hard to pin any of them. But interestingly, the WHO treaty, I don't know if you saw a couple of weeks ago, that has not managed to be fully ratified, and it's been postponed until the next session for more negotiations. So I mean, I haven't read a lot on it. There's a good article by Dr. David Bell that I think I've put up on Telegram, talking about, I think is it the African nations who managed to put the kibosh wooden vote through this sort of, pandemic treaty. So, we live to fight another day. So maybe there are signs that this is crumbling, but it feels like such an uphill battle, doesn't it?
It is. It's just crumbling slowly, but the news keeps being hidden as well, doesn't it? Because this could be another reason why we're being told all about this virus on this ship, is to stop us looking elsewhere at some of the other news stories that are bubbling up, but they can push that under the carpet while we're concentrating on this one.
Yeah, and next time there's something about to happen, then what are we going to have, an alien landing or something? I don't know what.
That's another one that came out today. But again, I'm not sure it's medical ethics either. But I will mention it. Apparently, a senior member of the American government in the White House has stated that very soon they are going to tell us all about the lizard people. And that apparently there's a good chance that the human race was actually invented by these lizard people, and that God didn't actually create us at all. It was a lizard. And
if this is true, if this is what they think they're going to do, I mean, I think they underestimate the public.
I think so. And it was Glenn Beck I was watching talking about this, and he said, as a strong Christian man, he said, if you've got a strong Christian faith, in fact, if you've got any strong faith of any religion, is that you're just going to knock this one into the long grass. He said, because it's not going to land, this one.
No, it's like
Yeah.
monkeypox and hantavirus. It's just, they're
Yeah.
trying so
Yeah.
many crazy things now.
Yeah,
So,
not unless the lizard turns up next door to Trump actually in the White House to tell us actually what they got up to. Yeah,
I mean, the trouble is
But-
with AI now, it's increasingly hard to even know if what you're seeing is real or generated. And I think this is what is really messing with people's minds, isn't it? It's, what do you believe? I'm so cynical now. I don't believe a word of anything I read in the
no,
mainstream. And
no.
I'm sure there's probably some bits of truth in there, but I just don't believe any of it.
No, well, I mean, to be honest, we've talked about things today, and I've discovered some things and read some things, but yeah, it could all be rubbish. I don't know. I don't know anymore, and this is the problem. I mean, and Andrew Tate of all people, who I know a lot of people don't like Andrew Tate, and I can understand why. But he said, are we ever going to believe anything anymore that when they say there's a virus coming out? He said, because of the whole COVID debacle, and so many people now understand that was absolute nonsense. The next one that could actually be really serious, we'll totally ignore. So it's like the boy cried wolf syndrome.
It is exactly. I mean, all these old myths and fables were for a reason, weren't they? Because it
Right.
basically described human nature, but also showed the folly of human nature and what happens, the terrible consequences if you lie and cheat and abuse your position or whatever. We all need to go and get into some of that old wisdom. I was talking to a group of people at dinner last night and just saying the trouble, talking about AI and saying, it's all very well saying we're going to do this stuff, but actually there's a moral and ethical issue here, which is like, we're choosing to invest in something and to push a thing which is going to actually damage our children's futures. That's not right. And actually, there may be a lot of intelligence with these people, but there's no wisdom. We need to get some wisdom again. And of course, it's that lack of faith, isn't it? For me, in the Bible, it says the fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom. When people make themselves gods, they go crazy in the end if they've got enough money and power, because they cannot see their folly and their hubris.
No.
So that's a good place to
There we
end.
go. It's a great place to finish because it sums it all up, really.
Mhm.
All right. Well, thank you very much, and we will post this as soon as I can, and and I hope everyone enjoys it, because I think these chats are useful because it covers a lot of bases, and and if you've not heard this stuff before and you're hearing it for the first time, well, then it's going to be good for you. And if you've heard it all before, it's still good for you, because it's good to talk about it again and keep it motivated. So thank you very much.
Yes.
And we'll see you all on the next one. Thank you very much.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
I think this is a great time to remind you that when you get to the end of the video, if you're watching it on YouTube, you will find 2 links to further videos, which I'm sure you will find fascinating. And it's also a great time to remind you to click follow and like and subscribe, so you're alerted when our new videos are published.